Martial arts is one of the most exciting, most dynamic, most inspiring, and most life-changing things that you can get into. And yet getting started isn't always easy. There's that initial excitement to try it out and to really go for it. But then as the day approaches to go to your first class, you start to get cold feet. What's it gonna be like? Am I going to get hurt? Am I going to look stupid? Am I going to hate every minute of it because I'm so exhausted? Or am I gonna hold the rest of the class back because I'm lagging behind? Am I going to leave feeling embarrassed? And sometimes that's enough right there to just shut you down and keep you from walking through that door. But let's say you do walk through the door and you get started. The next big obstacle is going to be commitment. All of a sudden you have this new thing that you have to fit into your life. There's gonna be birthday parties, travel, get together with friends. Not to mention that when you're brand new, there can be a little bit of frustration as everything is brand new and you can get very discouraged at times. And unfortunately for a lot of new martial artists, that means that within a few months, the couch starts to win out and they find themselves taking a day off, which becomes a week off, which becomes a month off, which becomes falling completely off their martial arts journey. Yet for those that stick with it and push past that initial gravity, the return on investment is huge. You feel better, you have way more energy, you're healthier, your self-esteem and your self-confidence skyrocket, and within a few months, you start to see things coming together. You become one of those people that new guys are coming to ask for help. And that's why I'm making this video. I want to give you 12 tips that are going to help you stay committed to the journey during that initial roughly 3-month period when it can be so easy to fall off. Tip number 1 is to think long-term. If you can just accept that you're going to feel awkward and uncomfortable during those first couple months, then half the battle is already won. Getting outside of our comfort zone is never easy. And so you need to look at it as a win every time you walk through that door. Every time you get out of your comfort zone, you have already won for the day. So accept that you're going to feel out of place and uncomfortable during those first couple of months. Allow that to just be a part of your training for the time being. As you get to know everybody and as you get more control over your body, you're going to feel a lot more in the right place. You're going to feel a lot more comfortable with your training. But for those first 2 or 3 months, accept that you're going to be outside of your comfort zone every time you're training. And that's just a part of it. A year from now, you'll be glad you started today. Tip number 2, build friendships with your new training partners fast. The camaraderie that comes with martial arts training is second to none. You will form some of the closest bonds with people who are just like you. And the sooner you start to build those relationships, the sooner you're going to feel comfortable at the gym. So start by focusing on training with people at a similar skill level to you that you can relate to. And also ask questions of people who are ahead of you in the journey, because everybody loves to teach. Everybody loves to share what they went through. And there are a lot of gyms that also go out of their way to help you form those relationships. They might have outside events. We always do workshops and lunches afterwards so that the members of the gym can get to know each other, interact with each other. Tip number 3 is to let go of your ego. This is easier said than done. Getting hit in the face tends to hurt the ego a lot more than it actually hurts your face. And training has a way of sort of holding a mirror up to you and showing you the real you. And unfortunately, often that real you is not the image that you may have built up of yourself in your head. But if you can let go and accept that you're not going to be the best guy there, then you're not going to fall victim to this and end up falling off because you got your ego a little bit bruised, a little bit hurt. Some of my best students were what you could call rough gems when they started. I had one guy who started with me. He could only train for about 10 minutes and then he would have to lay down on the mats for another 10 minutes just to recover because his back was really bad. He was really out of shape. And after a few years, he was actually teaching classes for me and he was a great instructor. Now, the best tip I can give you for helping keep your ego in check is to set learning goals rather than performance goals. In other words, rather than trying to beat somebody at something or win some competition, instead, if you focus on things like this entire round, I win if I keep my hands up, or I win if I keep my head moving. That's what I used to do. When I boxed, it did kind of hurt my ego a little bit because I was not the best. And so to protect my own fragile little ego, I would go in to spar and I would tell myself, you know what, whatever happens, I win as long as I kept my head moving the entire time. And sometimes my head was basically just moving because it was getting batted around. But as long as I could finish out the round knowing that the entire time I had my head moving, then I walked back to my corner feeling awesome. And sometimes I could tell that my sparring partners were a little bit confused because why did I look like I had won the round when they were sitting there just piecing me up? But I would set goals around what I was going to do. And that helped me not worry so much about having to be better than the other person. Tip number 4, find the right school for you. The 3 big factors that I think should go into that is 1, what's the location like? If, like all of us, you have a busy schedule and you're trying to get to and from the gym, if it takes you 30 minutes to get there and 30 minutes to get home, well, you got to factor that in. Can you block out that much time in your day? And also that their schedule fits you. The second factor that I think is really important in choosing the right school is the atmosphere, the vibe, the community. Do you connect with the instructors? Do you connect with the other members there? And the only way to find that out, obviously, is to go and watch a class and talk to the instructor and talk to some of the students before and after class and just get a feel. You can also look on their social media and see what they post and kind of get a feel for it that way as well. And then the third factor is, what is the structure of the class? Is it a little bit more of a self-guided structure where they provide you all the gear, but you're just sort of like figuring things out yourself? Or is it a lot more structured, maybe even like you are bowing every time you step on the mat, you know exactly where you're going, exactly what you're doing? Is it more of a fitness cardio? Are you doing a lot of hitting the bags? Are you doing a lot of partner work? You want to make sure that the style of training, the structure of the classes fits your learning style and what kind of goals that you're going after. Also, find out what their expectations around sparring are, because some gyms like to spar very hard and some are a lot lighter, and then some allow people to just go at whatever works for them. So get a sense of what is the sparring like, and is it an intensity level that matches what you would like. The last piece of advice I'd offer in this is, whatever you decide on, make your decision fast. It's sort of that strike while the iron's hot. If you spend too much time deliberating, trying to decide between this gym and that, then it's going to be very easy to never end up doing anything. Joining a school is not a marriage. You can join a place for maybe 3 months to really test drive them, and then if it's not quite clicking for you, go on to another school and try them out for 3 months. Tip number 5 is to set your own goals around training. Sometimes we tend to take on other people's goals, the goals of the gym. So for instance, you join a gym that maybe is a very strong competition-focused gym, then you might find yourself doing competitions, but not really wanting to. And I'm actually speaking from experience. I remember I actually was doing a competition where you move up. If you win, you move up to the next level. You win that, you move up to the next level. And I remember every time I'd win, there was this part of me that was just like, crap, now I have to go through this again. And then as soon as I showed up the next day to train, my instructor said, all right, we got another competition coming up and we need to start getting ready for it. And it was in that moment that I realized, I actually really don't like competition. I was looking forward to getting to just train because I enjoy the training. And now that we're talking about the next competition, I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling this uneasiness of like, here we go again. And I decided, competition isn't really my thing anymore. It's not. I want to train for me and just to enjoy. It's sort of my happy place, my way to get away from the world. With that said, I also know other people that get fired up by competition and that all their goals are around that. So just make sure that you're setting goals that are for yourself. And I recommend to set what I call floor goals and ceiling goals. A floor goal is like a minimum. It's like, all right, I'm gonna show up twice a week and I'm gonna give at least 60%. And then a ceiling goal is like, all right, I'm showing up 4 times a week and I'm going to give 100%. Having a floor goal and a ceiling goal, gives you some wiggle room because you're a different person on different days. You know, maybe towards the end of the week, you're a little more exhausted. You need a little bit more downtime to recover. And so showing up and expecting yourself to give 100% might not be easy. Or you just get busy during the week and you can only make it twice that week. And so if you only have the goal of going 4 times a week, then you're sort of beating yourself up when you can just go, you know what? I got my 2. I'm happy, I'm satisfied. That was good enough. Tip number 6, make commitments. A goal is something that you're striving for. A commitment is something that you can guarantee that you are going to do. So you make commitments in order to hit goals. So I can set a goal to win a competition, and I can set a commitment to train 5 days a week to prepare for that competition. One commitment that I would encourage you to make is to train 2 times a week. And I would say to even put those days on the calendar, not just any 2 days. Pick them out, make them a hard date on your calendar, write it in pen, not pencil. If friends want to hang out, they come and they train with you that night. Tip number 7 is to spend some time outside of class getting in shape. And by this, I primarily mean working on endurance, on stamina. One of the things that holds people back in martial arts is just how physically exhausting it is. And so if you can start to do a little bit of running, a little bit of cardio work outside of the class, it's going to go a long way in you feeling good inside of class. You have 2 primary cardio systems, aerobic and anaerobic. Anaerobic is like the quick sprint, and aerobic is like a long run. And you need both of them in martial arts. So I would say spend some time outside of class building up that long-term cardio. And then in class, that's where you build up your anaerobic. Another thing is nutrition. And I'm not saying you need to become like a nutrition nut or anything. Just start to clean up your eating. It's going to make a big difference in your energy level and how you feel during and after training, especially whatever meal you have before going to class. You don't want to be eating something that's going to weigh you down and have you feeling like you're going to throw up. Tip number 8 is to prioritize it. You always have time for the things you put first. So if you say, oh, I don't have time to train, what you're really saying is it's not a priority for me right now. And that's okay, as long as you're clear on that. But you always have time for the things that you put first. Your biggest culprit is going to be poor planning. So make sure you plan out exactly when you're going to work out. Look at what obstacles you might run into. If you say, oh, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, on Mondays, do you tend to find yourself super busy, having to stay a little bit later for work, rushing around, people calling you up, everybody's trying to get a hold of you from a weekend of chaos at work? If that's the case, then maybe you should do Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. If you do Saturdays, well, what are your weekends like? Does your husband or wife tend to like to spend the mornings together doing something? Well, they're probably not going to be excited if every Saturday morning you aren't there because you're leaving to go train. So you got to factor that in. So you need to decide, how important is this to you? And if it's a priority, you need to prioritize it. Now, the easiest way to prioritize it is to just do it first thing in the morning. Tip number 9 is to foster your enthusiasm. I'm actually really excited because the UFC is now on Paramount Plus. And so I get to watch the fights, whereas I wasn't going to drop $85 a month to watch a fight. But watching fights is one of the things that really excites me. It fuels me up. If I watch a fight, I'm so excited to train. In fact, at my old boxing gym, they would always have fights playing on a TV inside the gym. And so you'd be hitting the bags, and then when the bell would ring and you get the minute off, I'd just sit there and watch the fights. And by the time it was ready for the next round, man, if it was a Muhammad Ali fight, then I was floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. If it was Mike Tyson, then I was coming in on the back, throwing everything I've got. It can be so exciting to watch the fights or to watch fight breakdowns, and you see all the thought and the methodology that goes behind it. Or watch Bruce Lee movies, man. Bruce Lee movies, Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, those get me going. Books, one of my favorite books is a book called On the Warrior's Path. In fact, every year I buy 30 copies and give them out to some of my best students. Maybe even go watch some local fights or try out a competition. You might find that competition is exhilarating, it's exciting to have something to be training for. Or even do like a Spartan race. It's not martial arts specific, but the conditioning is going to be similar. Another thing that I used to do is I would keep a training journal, especially about my sparring. And so keeping that journal, obviously I'm taking notes in it, but I would also record how I felt in class, how good it felt to hit the pad and just feel that pop. Maybe I've been working on a technique for a long time and I finally feel like I'm getting it, or I'm starting to pull something off in sparring, or even I'm challenged with something in sparring. I'm writing about it, like, man, this guy always gets me on here, I can never get him there, and I start thinking through it. Now I'm excited to go in and try something new with him. So try that, just keep a quick training journal. Just when you get in the car at night at the end of class, take 5-10 minutes and jot some stuff down before you head home. Tip number 10 is to periodize your training. What I mean by that is to alternate between periods of intense training, or whatever that could mean for you. So that could be training 3 times a week, with then some lighter weeks of training, maybe 4 weeks on and then 2 weeks of lighter training, where you maybe just go 2 times a week. And then maybe you go for a nice jog on a Sunday morning, something like that. At our gym, we do a lot of what we call member challenges, where it'll be like a 21-day challenge where people are getting points for working out, for eating healthy. And at the end of the 3 weeks, then we take a break before we launch another one. And people like that because they see sort of a light at the end of the tunnel. So they push really hard during that period of challenge. And then at the end of the challenge, they know they get to relax for a little bit. And they don't feel guilty. They're not feeling like they're wasting valuable training time or that they've fallen off. They're just recovering. They're just enjoying some of the things they weren't allowing themselves to enjoy before it's time to get back on the horse, to get back to training harder, eating right, and doing everything a little bit more focused. So I recommend that to you as well. With that said, a little caveat. I know for myself, if I go an entire week without training, it can be hard for me to get back in. So maybe don't take a full week off. Find that place for yourself where the break really helps fuel the fire for the next focused stint of time, but not so much time that you end up just losing momentum and losing enthusiasm. Tip number 11, create your pre-game ritual. A lot of athletes have what are known as pre-game rituals. It's just a series of things that they do before every game that just helps them sort of lock in to mentally come into that space where they know they're focused, they're ready to do the job at hand. And for your training, you should develop those as well. One of my favorites is just putting on my hand wraps. And then as I'm putting on the hand wraps, my mind is just clearing. I'm starting to get into what I'm going to be doing. All the noise of the outside world, the stressful day I've had, all of that gets put aside. When you walk through that door, when the door closes, so does the outside world. You are entering a new space, and that space is only for martial arts. So having a pre-game ritual that just allows you to get into that headspace where you can be fully present to the task at hand is a great way to make sure that you feel great from beginning to end. I like to think of it as my mental on-ramp. Another great pre-game ritual is to stretch out before class. Do some light warm-up movement just to get your body moving, get everything sort of ready. It's almost like meditation. And then don't walk into class late. Walking into class late, besides not being the most respectful thing to your partners and to the coach, it also just puts you in a frantic mindset. You want to have a little bit of space. Now, of course, if you're coming from work and you're always rushing through the door and there's nothing else to do about it, that's fine. Just talk to your coach. You know, we've got people in that situation and we love that they still come and train, even though they're going to always be about 5 minutes late. On a related note, turn your phone off. I've had students who keep their phones on and in between classes, they'll run over to check their phone. Now, obviously, some of them might have jobs where they have to be on hand, but I would hate that because I want that training time to be time where the rest of the world does not own my mental space. My mental space is just for me and what I enjoy doing. Tip number 12, take time to remember just how far you've come. So often we spend our time looking at the mountain that we're climbing that we don't take the time to look behind us and see just how far we've come up. Remember, martial arts is a journey, and it's a very long one. In fact, it lasts an entire lifetime. And so it's important to take time to enjoy the milestones along the way and to look back and remember just where you started and what milestones that you have hit on your way along your martial arts journey. Awesome, guys. I hope this helps you out. Those are my 12 best tips now that you've decided to get into martial arts. I wish you all the best on your journey. I hope to hear from you 1 or 2 or 3 years down the road. And I hope maybe my channel and this video could have had something to do with you sticking with this journey. If you would like to join me on a 21-day Fit Warrior Challenge, I want you to click the link in the description. It'll open up to a form where you can give me your email. If you give me your phone number, I'll text you when I've sent out an email so you don't miss it. I'm going to be giving you a tracking sheet where you can keep track of your workouts. You're going to have a nutrition plan and you're going to earn points. This is February 9th, so it is literally right around the corner. So if this is something you want to do to dial in your fitness, dial in your nutrition, then go to the description below, fill out the form, and let's rock and roll. Bye, bye, bye.